What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my MLB Week 16 power rankings, and you can see here the biggest movers are the Red Sox and the Brewers. And now I haven't done the rankings since Week 13, so it has been quite a while. So that's why they're changing a lot here. Then the Rays are moving down 8 after they were hot for a week and then just fell right back down to earth. 30 through 26, not much change here. The only thing I forgot to change here is the White Sox moving up to 27. Pirates 28 and the Nationals moved to 29. Just because some late endings there, didn't have time to move it. But Braves stay at 26. They're done. Just call it season. Send everybody away. Azuna, Sean Murphy, who knows, maybe even Austin Riley at this point. But the Braves, yet again got plagued by pitching, and that's what did them in this year. They had good starting, and then it just kind of fell off. So maybe Chris Sale even gets dealt. Who knows how that will go? Pirates, Nationals, White Sox, Rockies, all going to be sellers at the deadline as well. 21 through 25. Marlins and Orioles swap those two. Marlins move to 23, Orioles move to 24. Then the A's, Twins, and Angels stay right there where they are. A's are quietly putting together a good brand of baseball here these last few weeks. Beat the Braves, beat the Blue Jays, who were on fire, and gave Cleveland a competitive series. They're trending upward, that's for sure. They're going to sell probably some older guys, some veterans that they can get rid of, maybe Severino. But for the most part, I think they're a team to watch that could be a team in September that could be playing whoever they're playing very tough. Same goes for the Marlins. They're young enough where I think they're going to be decently. I mean, they're only 6 games below 500, way better than I thought they would be at this point in the season. And if they can keep putting up good series like they did last week against some better teams, who knows? Maybe Miami's going to finish close to around 500 this year. Close to 500. That's going to be the Twins and the Angels. Twins played some good baseball, and after the break, they've lost to Colorado on the road in a series there. Then they get to go to LA, face the Dodgers, who desperately need a win. Angels have won 2 straight series against 2 playoff caliber teams. Maybe this team has some juice left in them here before the deadline and they don't sell. They get the Mets and the Mariners this week. It's a big week for them because, it is the week before the trade deadline. So if they can maybe finish the week over 500, who knows what the Angels are due because they're still right there in the wild card. I think it's 5 back in the wild card. Maybe they're going to give up on the season, but feels like they do that every year. So maybe this will be the year they'll hang on to a little more than they normally would. 16 through 20. And big one here is the Rays. Like I said, moving 8 spots. Lost to Detroit on the road in a 3-game set. Get swept on the road to Boston. Now, they would have been a little lower, in my opinion, if they wouldn't have beat Baltimore, but they did. So they moved up a little and moved to 17. But here they are, yet again, falling back down to earth. Now, they'll probably go 6-0 this week, somehow sweep the Reds, who have been playing some good ball, and then the White Sox as well. Other teams we'll talk about in the AL or the Guardians had a great week, 8-2, beat the White Sox, Athletics, and they even swept the Astros on the road before the break. They get Baltimore and Kansas City. Now, if they want to keep turning things around, this is the week to do so. They can definitely beat Baltimore in a series with no pitching. And Kansas City, well, they're struggling right now, and it's a divisional series in the weekend, so they really got to bring their A game there. Same for Kansas City. It's a big week for them to kind of see what they're going to do around the deadline. All these teams here are big question marks around the deadline besides the Rays. And then the Rangers and the last team in the AL played some good ball out of the break, beat Detroit, lost a heartbreaker Sunday Night Baseball, but they're still at home, get the A's and the Braves coming to town. And I expect them to be above 500 at this point next week. Then the team I haven't talked about are the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks come out of the break hot, sweep the Cardinals in a series to get to 500 yet again. And now they get Houston at home, which I think is a telling series to see how both these teams respond out of the break because Houston didn't play some good baseball out of the break. Obviously, the Diamondbacks did. Now, can they take that momentum and ride with it? If let's say they sweep Houston and they go in a pit and sweep them, Diamondbacks are right there throwing their hat in the ring and probably going to be buyers at the deadline. 11 through 15. Now, these teams are more than likely going to be buyers at the deadline because I think the Giants obviously showed us that they will go for it early as they trade Devers and got obviously traded for Devers and got Devers. And not a good start out of the break, though. Maybe could capitalize there this week at least, going to Atlanta and then home against the Mets. It's a big week there for the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Mets because you can see all 3 of these teams, I guess, and the Reds too, all four of those teams play some good opponents this week, play playoff caliber teams, and this wild card in the NL is anyone's race, as you can see there. The Reds and Giants are tied with the same record. Cardinals are one game behind. So it's really anybody's race here, and that's why I think all of these teams can be buyers. Talking about the Mets as well, they lost that series. The Mets or the Reds move up to 13. Forgot to put them up there to 13, but they're obviously there. The Reds should be 12, and the Mets should be 13. That's what I had wrong. The Mariners, though, talking about them, 2-1 in a series against Houston at home, a huge series to get a game on the Astros in the division. Obviously, you can see there they swept Detroit before the break. Obviously, the hottest team in baseball at that point. And then they go back home, face Houston out of the break. They're 5-1, or sorry, yeah, 5-1 in their last six, really making a case to be a team to buy at the deadline. But they give Milwaukee this week early series, and that'll probably be the best series you'll see early in the week because the Brewers are on fire and so are the Mariners. 6 through 10, you have the Phillies, Astros, and the Blue Jays all falling from my top five. Obviously, the Blue Jays, responded well, but those series against the White Sox and A's weren't pretty, so I feels like they got to fall a little bit. Astros, like I said, falling out of the top five along with the Phillies. You can see there, 3-6 from the Phillies, took 1-2 or 1-3 out of every series they were in. Astros went 2-7 and lost to some ALS teams, and that's bad if you're the Astros because you wanted to put them away. This was the time to put them away right before the deadline to not give them some hope and maybe become buyers at the deadline or sellers at the deadline. Instead, now they might be buyers at the deadline and could take a guy that you were looking at away from you, and it even goes into an division rival. So I think that was a big week there for the Astros. Unfortunately, they're falling to 7. Phillies fall to 6, like I said, losing on the road to San Francisco and the Dodgers. It probably wasn't going to drop them out of the top five, probably put them at 5, but losing that series to the Angels makes me take them out of the top 5. And they get rewarded with Boston and New York this week. Tough rebounding week, so hopefully the Phillies can put it together for some competitive series. Speaking of New York, we'll go to the Yankees at 9. Came out of the break okay, going to Atlanta, winning that series, but they get Toronto on the road and then Philly. The Yankees, they just got to figure it out here because that division lead that they have is gone now. Obviously, the Blue Jays have that division by 3 games, and if the Yankees want to get that back, they got to sweep the Blue Jays in Toronto this week to be tied atop the division. Will it happen? Who knows? But it should be a very good series early in the week. And then the Cubs, the only team I haven't talked about. I kept them at 10. They lost that series on the road to Minnesota. It was whatever. Then they beat the Yankees in New York, which was good for them. So maybe you can make the case for 9 and 10 being swapped. But then they beat the hottest team besides the Brewers in baseball out of the break in the Red Sox at home in a series there. So I had to keep them at 10 inside of my top 10. And they should take care of business this week to, if not grow the division lead, but at least kind of pull away from the Cardinals. And I think, it's going to be a 2-horse race between the Cubs and the Brewers. Speaking of the Brewers, they're number 1 in my rankings. You have 15-1, and you have the Red Sox go from 14 to 2. So both these teams here, my math was not mathing there. The Red Sox were only up 12, where the Brewers are up 14. My math was not mathing, so apologize for that. But regardless, they're on fire. Red Sox were on a heater coming into this, well, I guess out of the All-Star break. Lost that series in Chicago, but if they can go into Philly, win that series, there's no stopping this Red Sox team. They're playing really good ball right now. Then they get the Dodgers at home in a weekend series. Obviously, the Dodgers really need some wins here after struggling here this last week, where they might not find it this week, the Dodgers, but I think the Red Sox could get them in a series at home. Speaking of the Dodgers, got swept by the Brewers, who obviously you can see they're on a 9-0 in the last week and a half, and also 10-0 dating back before that week. They're on a 10-game winning streak. So give the Brewers their flowers. They're the Dodgers' kryptonite this year. Obviously, you can see there they beat the Dodgers twice in the series, 6-0 sweep of the season series. So come playoff time, that might be something you want to look into. The Dodgers can't beat the Brewers, but Brewers get rewarded going to Seattle. Like I said, that's going to be a great series. Both these teams are on fire. Then they get Miami at home, which could be a trip up series. I think Miami's playing some good ball right now, but good ball compared to a hot team at home. It doesn't. And then the two teams I haven't talked about are the Padres and the Tigers. Padres are hanging around in that division in the NL West. Another bad week out of the Dodgers. I mean, you can see the schedule there for the Padres. If they can go into Miami, take two or three, at least split with the Cardinals, and the Dodgers go 2-4. I mean, Padres are right there to take that division lead, not to take the division, but to take the lead here coming into August. And then the Tigers, it's interesting for them. They are 60-40 now as they beat Texas on Sunday Night Baseball to 1-2 in the season in the series, and they did lose the season series to Texas, but the bullpen really needs some help. That's kind of what's plaguing the Tigers here in the month of July. I think they have the worst bullpen ERA in July. So expect them to add an arm or two or three at the deadline because they have some good arms, but when they struggle, then after that sixth or seventh inning guy really has to come in earlier or not when he normally comes in, and it doesn't bode well for them. But it is an easier week to start the week going to Pittsburgh. Obviously, they should win that series there. And then the four at home against Toronto, the little border rivalry there, should be a good series and a big crowd there in Detroit. That's going to be it for my Week 16 power rankings. Come back next week to see where your favorite team ranks. Until next time, Bench Buddies are out.